everybody, welcome back to Two Nerds and a Podcast. Today we are talking not only one of mine and Casey's favorite games to play, but it's also now one of our favorite television series, and that is The Last of Us.
Woo! We love it.
We love it. We love Joel Miller, we love Ellie, and we love a lot of
Yeah.
things. So
Yeah. And we dislike a lot of things later
yes,
on.
we dislike a lot of things in the vicinity of part 2.
Yes, which we'll get to later on. That'll be a whole nother episode. We're just talking game 1, season 1.
Yes, because we have all of those right now. So,
Yes.
Casey, first of all, how did you even hear about The Last of Us, and when did you first play through The Last of Us? If you
Golly.
remember.
Golly.
Because I know
Honestly,
you
I
played
don't
through it before I
remember.
did.
Yeah, it had to have been what year is it? I would say probably 6 or 7 years ago when I
Oh,
first played
yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I replayed it again. But I don't remember if it was before or after I found out about the announcement of the show.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been after the announcement. Because then I was like, ooh,
Yeah, gets you
Last of Us
rehyped.
hype. Yeah. Um, and I honestly, I don't remember where I heard about it. But I'm glad I did because it's
Yes.
chef's kiss.
Oh my gosh, such a good game. I know for me, I, like many things in the video game realm, super late to the party. Um, I had a friend. I still have said friend, Travis. He hasn't gone anywhere. We're still friends. But Travis always talked about The Last of Us, and he's kind of like my guide for like really good games, because a lot of the games he likes to play, like I've played them way after he's already played through them like 20 billion times. But I
Mhm.
tend to like the same style of game. So I remember him talking about The Last of Us. Now, he was very much like a PlayStation kid. He always had a PlayStation, whereas I always had an Xbox. So a lot of PlayStation original games were not on my radar ever. But I remember him talking about this, and I remember seeing like all of the imagery, especially for like Ellie's tattoo and things like that, and
Mhm.
all the special edition stuff that he collects. And I'm like, so the second that my family gifted me a PS5 for Christmas, that was one of the first games I bought for my PS5, because I was like, I know I have to play through this because I've heard so many people mention it. And I'm so glad I did, because
Look at us now.
it's there's so many good things about this game, and this was like my first, because I don't consider myself a gamer really. I did a lot of reading when I was younger, not necessarily video games. So this was The Last of Us was my first reintroduction into video games, and I wasn't expecting to feel so emotional over a video game, because I wasn't expecting the story to be so good. Because video games, you think, oh, it's all about the gameplay for the most part, and then they tend to tie it together with a story. But this is such a story driven game, and I love it.
Yes, and it made an amazing, amazing HBO show.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that HBO, out of all
Oh,
the
I know.
networks and studios that could have made this, picked this, and it was their company that did it, because I think it's technically a year before we had got the live action version of Uncharted, which is also a Naughty Dog game. And I thought the movie was fun. Now, was it the best movie out there? No. It had Tom Holland, it had Mark Wahlberg, and it reminded me very much of like Pirates of the Caribbean, where it's that nice, like fantasy kind of genre. But then I played through the first. Actually, I played through the 3 of the Uncharted games, and I'm like, ah, now I understand why everybody was mad that that was the movie they came away with, because it was like, you could have done better. And then The Last of Us came out, and HBO just knocked it out of the park. The only thing that concerned me with HBO is their last season of Game of Thrones,
Oh
which we
gosh.
don't talk about, but we will talk about. That left a little, like, I feel like a sour taste in a lot of people's mouths. So
Mhm.
because they started off so strong and so amazing, and then to end it like that, so you just get a bit hesitant when they take on things based off of other things. You're like, I don't know how that's gonna work. But the first of
They
all,
blew it out of the park. Absolutely
absolutely.
amazing.
But
And like
they,
they did.
yes.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead.
No,
Go
you
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
No,
no.
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say they did the one thing that a lot of studios don't do, and they involved the original writers and all the people that were like involved
Oh
in
yeah,
the
in the
game.
game.
They
Mhm.
involved in the television series, especially in the development of the television series. And honestly, every book to movie that I have ever seen, if the original creator, the author, whoever the original people for that project was, are involved in creating the movie series or the television series to some degree. I mean, they don't have to be fully involved, but at some, just at least a little bit, a million times better. That's why stuff like Harry Potter was so successful. J.K. Rowling was involved. They wanted to honor the book series and what we loved about it. And I feel like HBO realized that and did that very much with The Last of Us. They were like, we have to capture what people relate to, identify with, and what they love about this story in this television show. Otherwise, people are going to start writing us off left and right. So I love that they did that.
Yes, I agree. Also HBO with The Last of Us, the changes that they did make to the
Mm-hmm.
show were so good.
Yeah, they did it in a very thoughtful and caring way, because
Yeah.
obviously, when you have a video game, you get the story in between the gameplay. But in a television show, that doesn't obviously translate because your audience is purely watching and not participating. So you have to figure out how to keep them engaged with, one, a story that a lot of them already know, but two, a story that no longer has that crucial piece of being a game. So I do love a lot of the changes they made. It definitely helped with pacing and connecting our characters. Bill's storyline was absolutely beautiful. I was not
Oh,
expecting
oh,
so
so
much
sad.
sadness, but also just so much like real emotion from that character, because we get him very little in the game. Like, we
Mhm.
get that he's a rough and tough man. We get that Frank dies, and we find that out alongside him. And obviously, there's a lot of feelings there, and they were each other's person. But the show definitely took it a step further and let us
Yeah, you saw
connect
like a
with
lot of
Frank.
emotion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because we didn't get to know Frank at all in the game. He was mentioned, and we get to see his body hanging from the ceiling, and that's all we get from
Ugh.
Frank. We don't get a voice to him, we don't get a face. We just get Bill's interpretation of Frank. And I think Joel says some kind of offhanded things because he's had to deal with him in the past. But getting to see Frank, getting to see how he interacts with Bill, and the whole, he gets sick and has cancer, and they decide to just die together. I was sobbing through that like whole episode.
Yeah.
And that was one of those things that was unexpected, but it was such a great addition to this story.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought. I was gonna say something, but it's gone.
I was gonna say, did you have a train at that, or is it left the station without you?
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Casey and I do agree that the saddest part that wasn't in the show that we didn't get to see because of story changes was we didn't get to see Bill yelling at Ellie.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I was gonna say I love that Bill is Ron Swanson.
Absolutely.
Because I think that it's so funny because they're two completely opposite characters, but you're like you can see you're like that's Ron Swanson. That's Ron
Yeah,
Swanson.
because
But
I mean, obviously it's the same actor, so it's like that's his
mhm.
face, but when he does his little like frowny thing and his mustache goes a little upside down, all I see is Ron Swanson when he does
Yeah.
that. I also, when Ellie is reading his letter and it has the in there, all I can hear is Ron Swanson laughing when she does that. So it's
Yeah. Oh yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. 10 out of 10. So good. Also, since we're on the topic of like sad and like changes I think HBO made
Hmm.
or they did make,
Yeah.
um was Sam.
Oh my
That
gosh.
nearly killed me. Okay, and I watched this show with my dad because he played the game too. So
Hmm.
he knows everything about the game.
Yep.
And I was like, I can't cry right now because like,
My dad
you
is right
know,
here.
but like they like not only did they make him a lot younger in the show because like in
Yeah.
the game he's like a teenager.
He's
In
like
the
closer
show
to
he's
Ellie's
like
age, yeah.
yeah, he's like around Ellie's age and then in the show he's like I don't know, like 7 or 8, like he's really young.
Yeah.
And they made him deaf, which I was just like, I'm going to die. This is so
Yeah.
sad.
It's so so sad. And like the young actor who plays him, that kid is going places. Like he was just absolutely amazing and obviously nothing can stop him. Nothing can hold him
Oh my
back.
god. That kid, oh, he's so adorable too.
He's
Oh my
adorable.
god.
He's
He's
so
so cute.
sweet. I love that this cast and this crew for this show, like they didn't treat him any different, and a lot of them actually tried to learn sign language so that they could just talk directly to
Mhm.
him instead of having him anybody translate for him, which I love. And it's so amazing to hear stories like that, to see a workplace, especially something in Hollywood that is always constantly moving fast, to kind of incorporate not only a younger cast member but also one with a disability. Absolutely amazing. But that definitely added a whole nother layer of sadness to this
Oh my god,
story
I
that we
know.
love.
I was like this is I was like it was already sad in the game, but then I was like, "Oh my god." Like just especially because like he's like it was almost like a older like it was a like older sister younger brother type of thing. And so like the
Yes.
relationship that Ellie and Sam had in the show was
Hmm.
just like so great. And then I was like I knew it was coming. I knew it was
Oh yeah,
coming.
it didn't matter. I still
It
cried.
didn't matter. It didn't
Yeah.
matter.
And like their extra step, because I don't remember if in the game, if they, if Joel buried Sam and is his brother Henry.
Yeah, Henry.
I don't know if Joel buried them in the game or not, but that extra tidbit in the show, especially with Pedro, you all know I'm a big Pedro person, but he just had,
What?
yeah, I know. It's a surprise.
What?
I'm obsessed
Everybody's
with Pedro
shocked.
Pascal. But he just, in that particular scene, his and Joel and Ellie's interaction is so important to who they are, that I like that they didn't say anything to each other, but you could feel everything anyways. You could see it in both of their faces. So just like how they were both distraught over everything they just witnessed within the last like 24 hours. Um,
Oh
and for
god, I
Joel in
know.
particular, because he was burying another child. And I know in the beginning it shows him tossing a very small body into a fire, but I
Mhm.
feel like on this journey at this point, he's already his cold little heart is already defrosting for Ellie, and to not only see her go through Sam's death and witness it like that, but then he has to be the adult and be the one to clean it up and help her deal with this. So just, oh my gosh, such a good scene.
Yeah, such a good show, honestly. There's so many good like, there's so many good, like, moments in the show.
Oh
I'm
my
like, I
gosh,
can't
yeah.
even just, like, think of them. I'm like, they're, like,
Yeah, so good.
I'm so
I yes.
yeah, yeah, mhm. Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
Agreed.
uh, I also want to bring up Tess, Joel and Tess's relationship in the show versus the game. The game, again, because the focus of the game is not necessarily purely the story, so it feels very passive that Tess and Joel have like a thing, but you don't necessarily know what that thing is. Is it just an emotional relationship? Is it just a physical relationship? So I do like in the show that they're in a physical relationship with each other. They have got no emotions happening, but yet they do have emotions because they're human.
Mhm.
But I do love the actress who plays Tess in the show. Feel like she really has like Tessa's no nonsense, you're gonna listen to me and do what I say when I say to do it attitude. I also like that she, even though she is a woman and she's smaller than Pedro, but she still very much has that physical presence about her because I feel like it'd be very easy, especially when Pedro's walking around looking all crabby, that it'd be easy for an actress to kind of get lost next to him, but she has a very strong presence, and like I can totally tell that her as Tess would just be ready to like punch somebody in the face just because she was having a bad day.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Tess, the like weird clicker kiss of death thing when she's dying was
Yeah, I didn't like that.
creepy.
I didn't like that at all. Dang, I forgot about that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm so glad I could
I forgot
resurface
about
that for
that.
you. But I remember because again, we've played through the game, so I remember going, okay, they're gonna like maybe we'll see her get ripped apart, or maybe like I don't know. I figured pretty much anything but that was gonna happen. And this whole like kiss of
Yeah,
death
I didn't
thing,
like
I was
that.
like, oh no, no, no. Because the whatever they made the like cordyceps stuff out of looks like it feels creepy as heck. And I'm just like, and so to have that like crawling from one mouth to another, I was like, huh, can we quickly move through this? I don't want to look at this no more.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, yeah, that was weird. I didn't love that.
No, I would
Um,
have rather seen her get ripped apart than whatever that
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
Ugh, so creepy. And honestly, when they go from books to movies or games to shows and things like that, sometimes the monsters don't translate correctly because they use too much CGI or they just look a little bit goofy. I feel like whatever studio was in charge of the practical effects of the show, man, 10 out of 10. I've watched some of the behind the scenes stuff. Like, they went through a lot of trial and error to get everything the right texture and the right color. And they did so much practical effects that it just truly added a whole different level
Mhm.
to the show.
Yeah.
Oh, and the clicker noise, perfect.
Oh
Like,
God,
chef kiss,
gross.
amazing. So gross.
Good, disgusting. I hate that noise. Every time I hear it, it
Oh
like
my god.
sends a chill down my spine. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, like when we were going through the maze at Horror Nights, I wish they had more clicker noises because
Mhm.
it creeps me out so much, but
It's
the
so
way they had
creepy.
it echoing, I was like, "Ooh, no, I don't like that. Absolutely not."
Yeah. Uh, Very creepy. Very, very fun. We love the
Yes.
clickers.
I don't know if any of you out there have ever played through The Last of Us on the hardest difficulty,
Not me.
but
Mm-mm.
I have. I've gone through all of part 1 on the hardest difficulty,
Yeah, subscribe to
and
Jamie Throws Confetti to see that all.
yeah, you can see me die like literally thousands of times per episode. But I'm telling you, even though I died so much going through the hardest difficulty, the noise of clickers does not get any less creepy. Like I thought like after doing it for a while and I'm just like, "Oh, I'm dead." It still tingles my spine and I'm like,
Yeah, it's honestly
"Mm-mm."
like such a spine tingling like sound. I'm just like,
Yes.
oh, ugh.
Absolutely
No, thank
crazy.
you. No, thank
Mm-mm.
you. Well, season 2 is gonna start filming soon, so that's really exciting.
Yes.
I honestly I have to rewatch season 1. I have been
Yeah.
wanting to rewatch it, but like my heart's just not ready because A, it's just sad anyways, and then like the fact that they're filming season 2. Now, I don't know what they're going to do to season 2,
Yes.
but I'm not ready for that.
I am not either. And we'll do a whole episode on part 2 for the games. But I'm just going to throw it out there that if they make season 2 like they did with season 1 and have it be very close in a lot of details,
Mhm.
I am not
Mhm.
emotionally, physically, spiritually ever going to be ready to see Pedro Pascal be beaten to death. Just saying that. I'm not like I don't know. I don't know about that. It was bad enough watching him die in Game of Thrones by the mountain pushing his thumbs into his eye sockets, but Joel's which if you're this far into the episode, I'm assuming you already know that we are not a spoiler free zone, so spoilers.
Yeah,
In game 2, Joel is beaten to death at the beginning of the game
with a golf club.
by a girl that we later have to play as in the game. As you can tell, I'm not a big fan of the way they did The Last of Us 2. But I don't remember where I was going with this. I'm so upset now. I was going with Joel's death. I was not expecting it to hit me so hard when I was playing the game, but I literally had to like stop playing and like take a walk. I'm like, I can't do this. So, and that's with the animated version of Joel Miller. So if I have to deal with not only Joel Miller dying on my giant TV screen, but also it being Pedro Pascal, I'm not going to be okay. Like I'm going to need like a mental health vacation after that because I will not be okay ever. But well, I'm excited to see what changes they do make because I feel like
Mhm.
when part 2 came out, they got a lot of backlash for Joel dying and the way they did everything. So I'm wondering if they're going to try to correct some of the things that a lot of people didn't like about part 2, or if they're going to be like, we're just going to do what we want and we're not going to listen to you guys, but you guys are going to watch this and you're going to like it. Maybe. So lots of things to look for in part 2.
Yes.
What was your favorite part of the game, if you remember? I know it's been a while since you played through it.
Yeah, I haven't played through it in a while. What was your favorite part of the game? You played it more recently than I have.
I have played it more recently. Honestly, I don't know. My least favorite part of the game is going through the basement level.
The basement. Yeah, the basement, yeah.
Oh, but I think my favorite parts of the game are just when you kind of get to wander around, which
Mhm.
there's very little of that, but I love Joel and Ellie specifically, their little side dialogue. So it's not like a cutscene, but they're talking to each other as you wander around. I think is absolutely adorable.
And also, like, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, the vibes
Adorable.
immaculate with them,
Yeah.
so good. It is literally like father and daughter, like, in
Mhm.
real life, and that
Yeah.
translates so well over. Like, they genuinely could not have picked, like, a better cast.
Yeah. Absolutely. I remember a lot of people had like reservations about Bella Ramsey
I
being
know!
Ellie. But I think she's the correct age because I think it's funny. A lot of people wanted the girl who they've actually cast as Abby for season 2. But I think for the purposes of being younger Ellie, that it wouldn't have worked quite as well. But also, I love because Pedro and Bella have been in, I would say, like similar circles, but they've never really worked together. Like they were both on Game of Thrones. So they've
Mhm.
both worked with HBO, they've both been in Game of Thrones. They've kind of been in the similar circles but not quite together. So to see them come together in something like this is amazing. But I also love I think the age gap is big enough that we get that true father-daughter feeling where I feel as
Mhm.
if they had cast anybody older we wouldn't have gotten that quite as much. Since we're talking about casting, I would like to bring up Gabriel Luna, who plays Tommy in the show.
Tommy!
I love Tommy. I love.
Tommy! Oh my god, every time I think of him, I just literally think of that scene.
Yeah.
Tommy!
I love that casting choice. Amazing. I had only ever seen Gabriel Luna in Top Gun Maverick, and he was just like a side character. He wasn't like any of like the big, 3 or whatever. But I love him as Tommy. I loved him both pre cordyceps breakout and post cordyceps breakout. I love his interaction with Pedro too, because I feel like they very much act like brothers. But again, the age gap is big enough that you definitely can tell that Joel had to be the big brother, and Tommy is just the little brother who wants to be a hero. And he goes off to join the military and all of that. And I remember I wanted to bring Tommy up specifically because I know a lot of people around the internet are saying, how are they going to make Bella look older? Because
Mhm.
obviously time passes between game 1 and game 2. I don't know if they're going to do that same time skip for the show, but I need you to look. I need you right now, everybody listening,
Oh,
Google Gabriel Luna Top
me
Gun.
too?
And then Google Gabriel Luna in The Last of Us. And those two people are the same people. So they aged him very natural looking and very convincingly for The Last of Us. So I have no doubt that they will do something similar for Bella. They will make her look like, again, if they do a time jump, they will make her look a few years older than she did in season 1. But also, I would like to remind everybody that like going from cuz Ellie's supposed to be like what, early teens to like young adult,
Yeah, I think she's like, yeah.
you don't look any different. Like if you look at a picture of me from when I was 16 to when I was like 21, not much different. Like I still look like a baby. The only thing that changed was my hair. Now, when you're going from like teens to like 30, then yeah, there's going to be makeup and things involved. But honestly, her looking older, I have one no doubt that they won't be able to do it, but it'll be fine. I don't know why people are having that concern because, again, I need you to Google Gabriel Luna and look because this team is talented as heck.
Go HBO. You
Amazing.
redeemed
Check this.
yourself with The Last
Yeah.
of Us for
Yes.
now.
For now. We'll see what they
For
do with
now.
season 2. We may hate them by the
Yeah,
time
we'll
next
see
season
how it
comes out.
goes. Yeah. I'm very excited for season 2.
Me too.
I know it's not gonna be for a while, but they're filming it. They're starting the
Yes, I
filming.
know. In Canada. I do love the only spoof I had seen of this show was when they are crossing that big snowy bridge, and I guess in the wide shot you could see the crew in the corner. And I'm like,
I think I
HBO.
did see that.
Yeah. And I mean, at least it's not as bad as the Starbucks cup in Game of Thrones, but
Yeah, God.
like, that's such an easy thing to catch and to cover up and erase that I can't believe somebody missed that.
Someone definitely messed that one up.
I have a Last of Us tattoo.
You do.
So, for all of you who don't know, Casey has a lot of tattoos everywhere. I on the
I
other
do.
I only have 2 so far, hopefully 3. Um some I'm planning on getting another one soonish. But the it's technically my second tattoo, but it's the only big tattoo I have. My first tattoo is a little finger tattoo, but I don't know why. Don't ask me why, don't ask me to explain. My favorite weapon in the Last of Us video game is the pipe with the scissors taped to the top. I don't know what it is about that weapon, but every time I have that weapon, I can kick some serious butt. It was my saving grace through a lot of my playthrough on the hardest difficulty because it was the one weapon that I truly knew how to wield. Um, and so I was like, I wanted to get a Last of Us tattoo. I thought about getting Ellie's tattoo, but for one, my place of work doesn't allow tattoos, so I would have to wear long sleeves every day, and I didn't want to do that. So I needed it to be higher than my forearm. But also her tattoo is very large, and I was not ready to commit to that. So I was like, smaller tattoo. I wanted something because, again, Joel Miller is one of my favorite fictional men, and Pedro Pascal is my celebrity crush, one of my favorite celebrities, one of my favorite actors. And I wanted something that represented both of them on my body. But I also really love Ellie as a character. And so I was like, I can't just get, I mean, I could just get a pipe with scissors tattooed on my body by itself and let it be that. But I got in honor of Ellie some lilac flowers because I'm not sure where the connection came from, but lilac flowers appear often enough in both part 1 and part 2 that I assume my brain associates that with Ellie. So I do have a pipe with scissors and a lilac flower tattooed on my arm because I love this game. And I actually got it before I watched the show, I believe, or maybe right after the show. That's my Weebish tattoo is my Last of Us one. You got to get one, Casey.
Yeah. I am running out of room very soon. So,
I want to talk about the soundtrack for both the game and the show is absolutely beautiful. I love everything. If you haven't listened to the soundtrack for either of them, it has a very like distinct sound where it's almost kind of calm, a bit whimsical, but when you know the story behind or that goes with the music, sends tingles up my spine all of the time. Um, it has a very shrill violin noise at the beginning, so it's very recognizable whenever anybody plays it. But it's so good. Like, I don't know. It's just amazing.
yeah, I agree. It's very like when you hear it, you're like, this is The Last of
Hmm.
Us.
It almost like invokes, like, you can see the imagery from the game. I don't know how to describe it. It's just
Hmm.
like every time, especially the title menu. song, which
Oh
is
my god, I
their
was gonna say the title
yeah,
menu.
which is the main
Mhm.
song. Whenever that plays, I can like instantly picture the title menu. I can picture all of the like
Mhm.
post-apocalyptic scenery, and it's just absolutely stunning. I am always in awe of people who create soundtracks for games and for television because my brain does not work. Like, I am not a musical person at all. Like, I can appreciate it, but I cannot create music whatsoever. So it just boggles my mind.
Yes. Also, yeah, if you haven't made I mean, if you've made it this far in the episode and you haven't watched it, I don't know how you've made it this far, but if you haven't watched it or played the game, maybe you watched it, but you didn't play the game, go play the game.
Yeah, definitely do both. Why there's plenty of videos out on YouTube that you can literally you don't even have to watch necessarily anybody play. It's people have compiled just all of the like cutscenes and like the quick version of the gameplay and stuff like that that you can like Travis did this with his girlfriend, which I thought was adorable. They literally sat down and watched it like a movie before the show came out so that she understood everything that he was like telling her about. So honestly, find your favorite YouTuber. If it's me, that's great, but my playthrough is not meant to be viewed like that. There's a lot of dying in my playthrough. But find your favorite YouTuber and watch them go through this game because it's absolutely beautiful. We all understand if you are not a gamer. Pedro is not a gamer. He tried very hard to play through the game before he became Joel, and he's not a gamer. But he had seen some gameplay, so you got to do your homework. Watch through some gameplay. It's a beautiful story. If you've seen the show, you will love the game.
Mhm.
But it's such a good show. It's such an amazing game. Everything about it is beautiful and amazing. So many good, grounded characters. Game two is a bit iffy. The controls get really cool because obviously technology has advanced. Because The Last of Us Part One was a PS3 game originally, so
Hmm. I always forget that it's a PS3 game.
yeah, and so it's got kind of the older style controls, whereas the remaster version of Part One and Part Two have all the cool PlayStation Dual Sense controls and things like that. So um, it's definitely worth the playthrough for both. Honestly,
I'm gonna be honest, like, the second game oh my god, I feel like I'm about to sneeze.
isn't it tight?
Wait, did it go away?
She sneezes about 25 times, so it might be a few minutes.
Okay. Alright. What was I gonna say? Oh, the part 2, I definitely, like, put on the easy mode and I just kinda played through it because
Yeah.
I was like, "Honestly, I don't love part 2."
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of was bored through a lot of it.
Yeah, part two is definitely a bit slower. And so,
Yeah.
and again, like I mentioned earlier, they start you off with Joel dying. And I know for a lot of us, that's just a no. And then they make you play as the girl who murdered him. So,
I think that wraps it up. We'll definitely do a part 2 episode.
yes. And that means I'm going to
And
have to
then
play through it
once the show
again.
comes out, yeah, once the show comes out, we'll have a show episode.
Absolutely. So that is it for this episode. You've made it this far into the podcast, so you might as well just subscribe to us. Normally, most of our episodes are a little bit more exciting and like upbeat than this, but The Last of Us is just not an upbeat kind of discussion.
No, it's
um
very sad.
yeah, it's extremely sad, but if you're looking for something to make you feel, to break open that cold dead heart that's inside of you, watch The Last of Us. You will cry. And maybe you need a good cry. Everybody needs a good cry every now and then. So make sure to follow us here on Spotify. You can also now Follow us on Apple Podcast if you'd like. If Apple Podcast is
Woo!
more your jam, I got the email this morning that we were approved, so you can also listen to us there. Like Casey mentioned earlier, I have a YouTube channel that she guest stars a lot on. We've been playing through some spooky games because my spooky season last year just got totally wrecked. So
It's a little delayed.
yeah,
It's
so we're
fine.
just stretching out the spooky season, which honestly, Casey and I both love, so it's okay. But we do a lot of stuff on my YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow us on TikTok because we do some things there. Our Instagram is where we are active the most, both personal Instagrams and the podcast Instagram. So definitely follow us there for any updates or polls or anything that we want you guys to participate in. And I think that's the end of my spiel. So we will see you guys in the next episode. So goodbye.
Bye.